Hello everyone. In this video, we're going to be taking a look at an article from NBC News. Now this was published on January 10th. It's written by Dara Gregorian, and basically they're trying to paint this narrative here that we're looking at fire and brimstone with the shutdown. They seriously are trying to scare people because they don't want people to realize that a lot of these government agencies affected, we do not need them. They do not affect how the government runs. But they want to scare people. So they fearmonger. So the title, The Doomsday Scenario. Here's what happens if the shutdown drags on. Economists warn that a catastrophe is in the making if the partial government closure continues for weeks or months. With that, they're basically trying to, you know that scene from Ghostbusters where they're talking to the mayor? They're basically trying to do this here. So, yeah, right here. This is what they're doing.
You could accept the fact that this city is headed for a disaster of biblical proportion.
What do you mean, biblical?
What he means is Old Testament, Mr. Mayor. Real wrath of God type stuff.
Exactly.
Fire and brimstone coming down from the skies. Rivers and seas boiling.
40 years of darkness, earthquakes, volcanoes.
The dead rising from the grave.
Human sacrifice, dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria.
Yeah, pretty much. That's what they're trying to make this sound like. So let's get into the article here. The country would face an economic hellscape if the government shutdown lasts months or even years, as the president has suggested it might. Experts tell NBC News. Oh my God, it would not be a fucking hellscape, and they know it. That's the thing. And if it lasts that long, they're like, oh, yeah. They're trying to get people to get pissed at Trump. I mean, Trump is willing to work with the Democrats. The one thing he wants, they're going, no, fuck you, sign that, you know. We're gonna do this, and you're gonna just have to fucking, you know, approve the budget. They think that they have the fucking better hand. They think that they control all the cards. They think that they're in charge, and they're not. So you have the legacy media try to help them along with this narrative. The doomsday scenario might be unlikely. Oh, excuse me. The longest the federal government has ever shut down is 21 days, a record that will fall if the current closure lasts until Saturday. But it is chilling. No, not really. Most people haven't had their lives affected in any real general way. A small minority of society may have, but the majority of people aren't having any problems. We'll be in no man's land. Mark Zandi, chief economist at Moody's Analytics, told NBC News. Why? Because we went 22 fucking days, or 23 days, or 24 days, because we went past the 21-day mark, and we only know what happened on that previous time up to 21 days? Jesus Christ. If the worst were to happen, experts say the devastating impact would be widespread. Basically, a bunch of people getting free shit won't be able to get free shit. Okay, so it won't incentivize them collecting free shit. I'm fine with that. I'm fine with illegals not collecting free shit. I don't see that as devastating. 38 million low-income Americans lose food stamps. Sorry, but a lot of those people are also fucking illegals. Illegals can get food stamps. So, fuck you. Nice try. 6 million face an uncertain timetable for collecting tax refunds. They're still going to get them. I don't understand how that's going to really fuck with things, because it's slower because the IRS doesn't have as many people on right now, but they're still going to get them. 2 million without rental assistance and facing possible eviction. Oh, so basically, you know, living off the government tit, they're going to have to go out and find a fucking job to pay for their shit? Okay, I'm fine with that. They might have to go and look at charities to pick up the slack. I'm fine with that. You know, that's another thing. You know, food stamps, you know, the rental assistance. There are charities out there that help with these things. I'm sure they'd be more than willing to try to help in this situation. Not only that, I'm sure people would help by contributing to them. 800,000 paycheckless federal employees plunged into dire financial straits. Slight problem. If you work for the federal government and don't know that you could be dealing with a shutdown and haven't put money away, that is on you and no one else but you. If you're living paycheck to paycheck, in most cases with a government job where you make good to very good money. I mean, TSA make a little bit less than, 36,000, but ain't shit, but it ain't great. But a lot of other government employees make a hell of a lot more money. If they didn't squirrel some money away for when times could get tough, that's on them. Shuttered parks and museums while overstressed airports cause tourism to tank. Okay, well, the shuttered parks, you make it sound like this time of year up north, parks are a big thing. Museums, not usually a big draw. Overstressed airports cause tourism to tank. I know a simple solution. Put security back in the airport's hands. Hand it over to private security. Stop groping people. Stop irradiating them with backscatter and shit. And not a problem. Airports aren't overstressed. Air traffic controllers on the note of the airports. They are some of the highest paid federal employees. If they didn't squirrel money away, when they're making the kind of bank that they do, that's on them. Federal court system slows to a crawl. Oh, so you mean the Ninth Circus isn't going to be able to keep, doing, whacked out, non-constitutional fucking rulings? I'm fine with that. I'm making light of these things, obviously, some of these things, but I mean, on that one, yeah, I'm making light, but I'm not disagreeing with what I'm saying. It's, it's a serious joke, for lack of a better way of putting it, or a joke with a serious intent to it. Disaster relief money doesn't get to storm-ravaged areas. On that idea, a lot of those people should have had insurance. So them being in a shitty situation is kind of on them. Lapsed FDA and EPA inspections lead to dangerous outbreaks. Not seeing that happening because the EPA is like a Jimmy Carter fucking era thing that he created and gave bullshit fucking power to. I think it was Jimmy Carter. The FDA, you mean the same FDA that's approved all these drugs that have caused major side effects, like, you're trying to deal with something, totally unrelated and you get permanent limp dick? You mean that one? What is it? Is it one of the diabetes medications? People have been getting gangrene on their genitals. They've been getting, the dick's been turning green and falling off. And they approve that? Yeah, I really trust them on the note of safety. Private companies looking to go public are stuck in limbo. It's a little delay. They'll still get to go public. Stock markets plummet. Don't see that happening. See, they got to throw the stock market thing in every chance they get with Trump, because they keep saying that he's going to tank the stock market, and the stock market keeps doing well, and it does better and better. It might drop a little bit with a correction or whatever, but then it goes right back up. And they don't like that. They really don't like that. The end isn't near yet, but if the standoff persists, talks blew up at the White House on Wednesday, and Congress and the President, Donald Trump, can't reach a deal on raising the debt ceiling in a few months, it's game over. You'll have a pretty severe recession, Zandi said, adding that given the trade war with China and Brexit looming, you can start seeing some pretty dark scenarios worldwide. No, not really. See, here's the thing. China and the trade war, they're going to lose it. We need them less than they need us on the note of the United States. Brexit? Heaven forbid a fucking nation decide, to take back its right to sovereignty and tell unelected bureaucrats in Brussels to go fuck themselves. Oh yeah, that's going to create a dark scenario, having a country run itself. See, fear-mongering. Without food, homes. By the end of February, the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, or SNAP, run by the Department of Agriculture, would be out of funding. meaning almost 40 million low-income Americans could find themselves struggling to pay for food, said Joseph Brusela, chief economist for the accounting firm RSM US. Well, here's the thing. Those families can go to charities and get assistance from them. There are plenty of charities out there that offer food. Not only that, they're probably playing both ends on this. They're probably getting their SNAP and then going to those food banks and other charities. Wouldn't be surprised. The Department of Housing and Urban Development, meanwhile, has already seen 1,150 contracts with private landlords housing low-income tenants lapse. Another 500 will expire by the end of this month and another 550 by the end of February, the agency says. Well, all right, I don't understand why the Department of Housing and Urban Development is even involved in something that should be a state thing. Because traditionally, low-income housing like this, assistance like Section 8, shit like that, was done by the state, was covered by the state. Put it back in the hands of the state. Real simple. Funding for rental assistance for millions of tenants could be at risk as soon as next month. Well, here's the thing. This rental assistance shit, illegals are collecting it. You have people that are, happy to collect money from the fucking government on it and live for free. Maybe a few of them will have to go out and get fucking jobs, or maybe a few of the people will have to go back to their fucking country of origin that are here illegally. I got no problems with that. The near-term impact is people getting evicted, having their heat turned off, and not having enough food, Brusela said. Oh, the feels. Well, you know what? A lot of people out there, they bust their fucking asses to keep roofs over their head and keep them warm and shit like that. And they managed to do it without government assistance. I'm sure these people, there's a will. If there's a will, there's a way. Drawn out over time, that amount... I'm sorry. I'm just looking at the amount of money here right after, and then it just drives me nuts because every time I see it, because I've read this article multiple times at this point. But yeah, drawn out over time, that amount could be that could amount to a sizable hit in the GDP, which is complete horse shit. GDP is your gross domestic product. If you're giving out free shit, that's not your GDP. That's going to hurt your GDP. It goes against your bottom line. It goes against it. It doesn't help it. Loss of the SNAP benefits could mean $60 billion less in direct spending in a year, and indirect spending another $48 billion. $60 billion and $48 billion. $108 billion. I'm fine with that. That's a lot of fucking money. So, another $48 billion, which could shave a full percentage point off the country's economic growth, he explained. Giving out free shit and having people leech off the fucking government is going to hurt the country by stopping it because of the shutdown. In what fucking alternate upside down, left is right, down is up, fucking reality are you talking about? They're not helping with economic growth. These people are drains on the system. Stop kicking out $108 billion for them, and economic growth would probably get better. That's common fucking sense. People leeching off the system hurt its growth. That's what these people are doing. Others might find themselves with less money in their pockets. I love how they throw that, which they actually won't. But they want people to think that. Because the next sentence goes right into the IRS. People are still going to get their fucking tax return. But they're trying to be like, oh, it's less money in their pockets. They're still getting their money. It'll still be in their pocket. It's their money. The IRS has said it won't be able to pay tax refunds during the shutdown. Although the Office of Management and Budget said on Monday that it would. Less than 10,000 workers, about 12% of IRS staff, are working during the shutdown. A lot of it's electronic now. This is what's fucked up. You literally do your tax return, computer, online. Computers go through it, go, okay, give a yay or nay, and boom, you get your shit. I don't see where there's a person issue with that. But yet they want to play it like that. If you file your tax return online, there's almost little to no, probably no human interaction. So I don't understand why that's an issue. Especially when we're talking the digital transfer of funds. If you do the digital thing, you should still get it relatively quickly. I mean, you might get delayed, but you're still going to have your money in your pocket. I mean, about 12% of IRS staff. Okay, well, you make that sound like it's a bad thing. Oh my God. I mean, less than 10,000 workers, about 12% of IRS staff are working during the shutdown. Oh no. The agency is coming up with a plan to call back more employees, but they face an avalanche of backed up work. By February 2 of last year, the agency had already received over 18 million returns and processed 6.1 million refunds. Yeah, and the more people who file electronically, the less people you need. It really works out that way. So this is kind of fear-mongering here. The people who are waiting on those refunds could face some real consequences, said Michael Pierce, senior U.S. economist at Capital Economics. Actually, a lot of people, some people, we'll go with the some people first. Some people, yes, they use it for, automotive repairs, house repairs, practical things like that. But a lot of people use their tax returns for fun. The only people who are going to have some real consequences from it on that note tend to be more so, because more people tend to use it for fun than they do for practical purposes, are going to be the ones not going on vacation. Oh, where? Oh, no. Not that. The vacation might be delayed. Oh, no. I mean, they're seriously trying to play up people's fears here. Then there are the 800,000 government employees who aren't getting paid during the shutdown, even though about half of them still have to work. So you've got 400,000 people who got a non-paid fucking vacation. And we should feel for them? I mean, if they don't want it to be a vacation, they can do Uber, they can do Lyft, they can do anything like that they want. It's up to them. The other half, you know what? They should have known, being what their employer is, a government, that there could be a shutdown. And with that they should plan ahead and plan accordingly and make sure that they have some money squirreled away for just in case. I mean, it would make sense. Workers are going to just start walking out and find better paying jobs, Bruxelles said. If they don't, some will be in danger of not being able to pay their rents or mortgages and losing their homes, creating a drag on the economy. Well, here's the thing. You honestly think these people who work government jobs, most of whom, a large majority of whom, are lazy motherfuckers? Because most government employees are lazy fucks. That's why they work for the government. Job security, so that they can get to dick around and get away with it. No offense to a government worker. My family has government workers. There's some hard workers in there, and then there are some lazy fucks. Trust me. And that's including in my family. So, you think they're going to cut it in the real world? They can go out and find a higher paying job that'll let them fucking dick around like they do. All the power to them. I say go for it. If they need to do it because of house and shit like that and have to work a real fucking job, so be it. It's not like these idiots, minus say the TSA, because they, you're to $30 some odd thousand a year, ain't great, but other government agencies, most of those people are making good money. Whether it's the private sector or the government, they're working for the government. They're making good money. If they couldn't put some money away and they were living from check to check, that's on them. People didn't have safety nets. People didn't have this thing where, they didn't, people realized up until more recent generations, like, the generation that went to the Great Depression, they understood that shit can happen. Put money away because you might need it. Now people, they don't fucking think about that, and then they go, oh, woe is me, what the fuck am I going to do? Those people managed to survive without any social fucking safety nets. And not only that, had money put away so that they could survive. Tourism devastated. I need my movie announcer voice for that one. Tourism. In a world, tourism is devastated. No shows by airport workers, including TSA agents and air traffic controllers, would mean delays and canceled flights, hurting business dealings and tourism. Now, I don't agree with this, okay? Because this gets into the whole thing of air traffic controllers and TSA. The TSA has no actual purpose. They are security theater for us. They are not just there to stop terrorism. They've never stopped a terrorist. They're fucking useless. All right. They're easily replaced. Go back to private fucking security. Bing, bang, boom, zing. Done. Probably would be quicker, faster, and cheaper. Air traffic controllers, they're some of the highest paid federal employees because of their job and how stressful it is. If they couldn't put some money away, knowing that, you know, their employer is the way it is, that's on them. Like every other government employee. And on the note of the going to private security, I'm sure that those private security companies, if they were to switch over, would hire a bunch of the TSA people. Even the lazy fucks at first. Because they're going to need bodies. I got no problems with that. Solve the problem right there. I mean, when there was this thing about the groping with the TSA, they didn't want to fucking... Because, what was it, a sheriff or some shit was like, I'm going to... This has happened in a couple states, including New Hampshire at Rockingham County. I believe it was It was the part of Manchester Airport that was in Rockingham County. They ended up moving the TSA thing to say, fuck you to the sheriff. But the sheriff was like, if I see him touch a crotch, I'm going to arrest him for fucking sexual assault. So they moved the TSA thing. But in another state, this was going to happen in another county. And they literally shut down the TSA checkpoint and just let people walk through because the sheriff, the police, the chief of police or something, I can't remember which one it was like, I see him grabbing crotch, I'm arresting him for sexual assault. So they literally shut down the TSA checkpoint and no one got hurt. They could shut them down and no one would get hurt, you know, for the most part. There would be no issue. But private security with a metal detector, easily solved. Tourism would also continue to fall at national parks, a third of which were closed when the shutdown went into effect. Others were kept open, but without staffing, human waste is piled up in bathrooms along popular trails. Yeah, if it's a bathroom, they should have running water and that shouldn't be an issue. If it's an outhouse, that's a different story. But I'm sure this fucking idiot doesn't know the difference between an outhouse and a fucking bathroom. Well, what would you expect? And the idea is well, you know what? They should be, if they're hiking in, they should be hiking out what they're, taking out everything they bring in. So if they're going to take a shit, they should be hiking it out with them. Some parks are planning to stay open by tapping into collection fees that were meant to be used for future park projects. Rating those funds is unsustainable and will hamper the future development plans, said Emily Doucet, Director of Budget and Appropriations for National Parks Conservation Association. Well, that's easily solved. The money that you take out of those funds, you replace it when you get your budget money. It's really that simple. But you see, she's not going to want to do that. Easily solved. You'll put the money right back because you're spending money that you would have at this point that you're going to get money for anyways. So, yeah, I don't see a problem. In the meantime, parks are losing the $400,000 in daily fees they typically collect, and neighboring communities aren't benefiting from the $20 million a day that visitors spend there. $400,000 in daily fees ain't covering shit for them. That's a drop in the bucket. And this $20 million a day that visitors spend there around neighboring communities, I don't know if it's that much a day. That seems a little high. I mean, if people are going to national parks and shit, they're trying to keep their vacation cheap. All right, I think I need the movie announcer voice. for this one too. The public in danger. The Food and Drug Administration has already stopped most food inspections, raising the risk of Salmonella, E. coli, and Listeria outbreaks. I mean, you need that type of voice for this shit. The fear-mongering. The Food and Drug Administration, the same fucking Food and Drug Administration that approved all these drugs that have all these nasty fucking side effects, like, is it true? One of the diabetic ones, I think. They now got gangrene of the dick happening. Your dick turns green and falls off. Your vag falls off. I mean, shit. Yeah, I really trust the FDA. And this idea of food inspections, they're overblowing this out of proportion, because the way the FDA works, most of these places do self-inspecting, and the FDA will come in occasionally and check up on them. There's not an FDA inspector inspecting every fucking thing. All right. You've got these businesses that say carve up, sides of beef, turn them into steaks. They have their own inspections. And sometimes the FDA comes down and checks them out. That's how the things work. The FDA ain't going around inspecting everything. We're going to be perfectly fucking fine. That puts our food supply at risk, said Sarah Skorchker, Deputy Director of Regulatory Affairs at the Center for Science and Public Interest, a consumer advocacy group. No, not really. Does not put our food supply at risk. Honestly, no. They're still doing inspections like they were prior. The FDA just isn't showing up and going, yeah, I want to check this shit out. Which those surprise inspections, it's not like people are going to slack with the shit going on, because there's still some of them going on. Because they still have them going on. They're going to be afraid of a surprise inspection. Don't worry, we're still going to be fine. The Environmental Protection Agency, where only 700 of 13,000 employees are working during the shutdown, has scaled back inspections, with senior officials focusing on properties where the threat to human life or property is imminent. Well, I've got no problem with the EPA being shut down. Okay, one of the reasons why I voted for Trump is the EPA is a useless fucking organization. There are already laws out there to protect the environment. You don't need the EPA creating fucking regulations and circumventing the Congress and everything else to enforce whatever shit they want to enforce. I've got no problems with them going bye-bye. Okay? See ya. Don't want to be gone. I don't care. There are already laws out there. They've added so much additional shit that they're looking for a justification for their existence. Areas that have already been affected by hurricanes and storms are facing additional problems because of the shutdown, with emergency recovery funds reportedly tied up in bureaucratic red tape. Yeah, well, if it's tied up in bureaucratic red tape, it's already allotted and they should be getting it. That's a different story. If it's stuck in red tape, that's different than being held because of the shutdown. Make up your mind. Which one is it? It seems more unimaginable, but if the impasse continues into October, more vital federal agencies would be forced to shut down and new dangers would loom. Among the agencies that would turn off their lights is the Department of Health and Human Services and the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. Department of Health and Human Services really doesn't do that much. Centers for CDC is a different story. I mean, Health and Human Services, we can kind of just go, yeah, whatever. I mean, they're not a law. They're one of those bureaucratic fucking agencies. I got no problems with them going. CDC, I can understand and justify their existence. A more immediate worry: the federal court system will run out of money by January 18. We'll have to cut back operations. Oh no, heaven forbid. All right, and then their final one. Definitely need the announcer's voice. And then there was stock shock. No, that was a shitty one. Stock shock. Stock shock. That's better. The longer the shutdown goes on, the more likely it is to affect the stock market, experts said. Analysts have been looking forward to a string of valuable multi-billion companies that were expected to go public early this year. But now as many as 40 initial public offerings are backlogged because of the Securities and Exchange Commission doesn't have the staff to review them. They're backlogged. They're still going to happen. This is what's fucked up. They're trying to make it sound like this shit isn't going to happen. And, the sky is falling and the stock market will fucking go belly up. No, it's just going to happen slower. Big fucking whoop. I got no problems with that. It's not really going to affect the economy. They can still trade other stocks. It's not a big deal. The market was waiting for this huge avalanche of IPOs, said John Coffey Jr., director of the Center for Corporate Governance at Columbia Law School. All this stuff is on hold. The market is fluctuating wildly, and this is going to remove a stimulus. Even with no end to the shutdown in sight, Brusalis predicted that public outrage will lead to one soon. No, that's bullshit. It's a small part of the population that are getting upset. A large amount of the population, the majority, has not been affected by this. They will not be affected by this. They're not going to give a shit. So your idea of public outrage, it's just going to be a small little group of outrage mob little fuckwits. It's not going to be the general population. Sorry to break it to you, but that's how it's going to be. Workers are going to start walking out, he said. People will take to the streets. Yeah, sure they will. Uh-huh. What are you going to see? People who are too lazy to go out and get a fucking job and are collecting fucking free government shit like housing and food and all that? They won't go get a fucking job. You think they're going to take to the streets? Oh, wait. You're taking away their free shit. Maybe they will. Workers are going to start walking out. Well, if they didn't fucking put money away, knowing that their employer can have a shutdown where they would delay paying them, that's on them. I mean, look at the fear-mongering that they're trying to do here. It's some fucked up shit. It really is. It's ridiculous that they're seriously trying to make it sound like the sky is falling, that dogs and cats are living together. I think we need that.
Real wrath of God type stuff. Exactly. Fire and brimstone coming down from the skies. Rivers and seas boiling.
40 years of darkness, earthquakes, volcanoes.
The dead rising from the grave.
Human sacrifice.
Dogs and cats living together. Mass hysteria. I mean, that's what they're literally fucking looking at here. Like what they're or trying to portray. It's not going to happen. It's really not going to be like that. Anyway, I've covered this well enough. I'm just going to leave things here. If you liked this video, depending on where you are watching it, please give it an upvote or thumbs up. If you want to know when new content of mine hits the internet, don't forget to subscribe to one or more of my social media or video accounts listed here. Also, with YouTube, don't forget to ring that bell. You can find all of my video content on both BitChute and YouTube. This may not be the case with other places I upload to, but I will try to minimize this happening. You are always welcome to interact with me at any of these sites on the list, so feel free to do so. If you have anything you want me to cover in a video, when it comes to news or current events, send it right along to me. I will try to do my best to cover it. As always, thank you for watching.